So briefly, I'm Dr. Bird. I'm a biblical scholar. I like to talk about what the Bible says about things, what it actually does and does not say. Focus right now is on marriage in the Bible. What does the Bible say? What do we actually see in relation to marriage, the relationships we call marriage? What does the Bible say about sex? Because those two are intimately intertwined, biblically speaking, which is a part of why so many people today have a hard time separating this conversation about who's having sex and how and why, and marriage, that these two things are so intimately connected for so many people. And it's partly because our biblical texts prime us to see people and relationships, this particular relationship, through that lens. That's why I've written a book, Marriage in the Bible, What Do the Texts Say? And when you talk about generations, you're talking about men. We're talking about the men, right? Did Keturah not have any daughters, or did the daughters just not count, right? It's highly unlikely that she only had sons. It's highly unlikely that all these women only had sons, right? But that's all we're being told about, because that's all that matters in their context. Let's be honest about that. I'm not judging that in and of itself, but I do think it's worth pointing out, because then we continue to see people doing that. I think I mentioned this before, but someone made a comment on when I was doing the generations thing in chapters 5 and 11. Just 100 years ago, people were still doing generations, in family Bibles at the beginning, or this particular person did a lot of genealogy work, and they were still seeing people talked about that way, right? Where it's the daughter of a woman, the daughter of so-and-so, but she's not even named, and she's given men children. And so we're talking about families and generations through the lens of who the men are. The women aren't even always named, or they might be named and then their name is set aside, because they're really just there to provide babies, right? They're there to provide children, to provide the lineage. And so they're not important to the narrative anymore. Once they've provided the child, they kind of go to the side, right? I think they're important, but they aren't important in the narrative. We ought to expect that the readers of these scriptures to focus on men in families. We ought to expect that, because they're the ones who get all the airtime, even when the matter is about pushing children out of a vagina. We're still focused on the men who benefit from it, right?